Is Castle Morne a good castle? Well, I guess another good question is, what makes a castle a good castle? And from what I can tell, it's roughly three things that really makes a castle a good castle. And those are location, defensibility, and a reason for the castle being there. Now, before we get into this, I'd just like to say I am not a castle expert. I just think they look cool, and they are pretty cool. So I'm going to see how good this castle actually holds up. And also, while you're here, if at any part of the video you like what you see, then consider liking, subscribing, and joining the Discord. It'll help out a lot. Anyways, into the video. So like I said, one part of a castle really being a good castle is the location. Now, this castle is located in the Weeping Peninsula, which is only accessible through this one bridge. Now, on a defense level, having just a single bridge being the only way to get to a castle is a very good idea, in most cases. That is, unless it's a very popular place and you want a lot of people there. Then having one small bridge is probably not the best idea. But for Castle Morne, I don't think they're really expecting too many visitors. So the really good thing about this one bridge is the defensibility. Because it's only one bridge and it's pretty narrow, you only have to have about 10 men to fully defend this bridge. Now, will they defend it for long? No, but you only really need 10 men to make a line. And then even if you have 100 men, only 10 can go at a time, basically. And now, it very much does help that they have a ballista here. And I think they have a few archers or whatever. But anyways, yeah, that is a big improvement to the location. So ultimately, I will give the location of the Weeping Peninsula pretty solid 8 out of 10. Now, the next key part to making a castle a good castle is the defensibility. Because last I checked, if you have a very big castle, but you can't defend it, it's not a very good castle. Now, Castle Morne is a very good castle to defend. Now, let's just start from the front here. So, we have a gigantic golem guarding the door. Now, I do not know if when this castle was originally built, if he was here, if he's actually a good guy or a bad guy. But let's just say he is defending this castle. So that's already a very good sign. Now, the placement of him is a little bit interesting because he is kind of just wide out in the open. So if there was a big, gigantic, one would even say massive force approaching this castle, this man would be dead. Now that's the first good thing. But the second is actually right here. And it's this gigantic lift. Now, Tommy, what's so good about a lift? I mean, it brings people up, it brings people down. It's basically like a big ol' elevator. Well, use your brain. If you only have one way up, then there's only one point to defend. Now, on to actual defenses, as in weapons. Well, they are certainly lacking those. Now, I don't know if they used to have these weapons, or if they never actually did in the first place. But there are very few weapons at all, even armories. There aren't too many of those. But there are very good stations for weapons, like up here. Now, what's so good about this place? Well, it's not extremely good, and there is actually no way up here. But let's say they put a ladder and they could climb up here. Then it is a fairly good defense strategy. They have some very good positions. Because when you are shooting down, well, you can normally hit them and they can't hit you. Now, like I said, there are so many different of these towers and that thing over there where you can easily hit them while they are approaching. But what about if they manage to actually break into the castle? Let's say they got a pretty decent sized force up to the actual courtyard, I'm just going to call it. So how easy is it for this part to actually defend? Well, one of the biggest things you gotta keep in mind is, where is this force actually supposed to go? Now, because if there's a whole bunch of defenders in this actual castle, they're not going to just be really all over the place. There's probably going to be some sort of stronghold, some sort of area where the enemy is working towards. And that area, where I can tell, is kind of right here, which is kind of interesting because there are some higher towers. These towers do not look very accessible. And when you go inside, well, there's nothing. So, that's just because the game didn't design anything for these towers, but for the sake of this kind of rating, we're just going to say the fallback point is this tower right here. Now, why do I pick this tower? Because there are a few other areas in up on these higher levels. Well, this tower only has one way to get on top of it. Now, for the actual lore, there might be something inside of it, but from what we can see, there is no sort of trapdoor that you can get down there. So, this tower, to get to the top, there's only one way to get there. And that is up these stairs. And there's absolutely no other way to get there, unless you, made a bridge across these, but that would probably never happen in an actual siege. And there's all these upper levels, they are very easy to defend. Because, well, how can the enemy actually get up here? Well, they really can't. Or at least they cannot get up here very easily. Because there seems to only really be this one ladder. And this ladder looks like it can probably be knocked down fairly easily. Now again, if they brought their own ladders, that'd be very difficult because, yes, this area is pretty big, but this is also a very big ladder, and to actually get it through some of these tight fittings by turning it, yeah, that's going to be very difficult. So, I am going to actually give the defense of this place a 9 out of 10. Now, this video has kind of turned into a defense of the castle. Well, the video actually is the castle good? Like, does it do what good castles do? So, the last thing I'm going to go over is the reason why this castle is here. Because as far as I am concerned, people just don't put down random castles everywhere they want to. Now that would be pretty cool, but that doesn't actually happen. So why is this castle here? And I think I have a fairly reasonable answer to that. And that is simply a fallback point. Basically, it's a citadel. Ouch. So yeah, I would say the reason for this castle is probably, a 10 out of 10. Because there really is no issue of having an actual, fallback point. And based on how the defenses look, it's practically a perfect fallback point. So anyways, here is the average score that this entire castle has gotten. Now personally, I think this is probably the best castle / fort in the entire game. It's very unrealistic, but it looks like if this was in real life, no one would really ever be able to breach it, at least back in the medieval times. Oh, and by the way, before this video ends, consider subscribing, liking, and joining the Discord. I'm planning on doing some Night Rain groups, and I only have, I think, 17 members in there. So it's definitely possible that we can get some groups together already. But if you'd like to join and help grow the community, That would be very helpful. So anyways, thanks for sticking to the end. I hope to see you in the next one.